I'm going to start with the fact that I'm wearing a Band-Aid. Where is it? Here, you see the Band-Aid. Now I had a choice, and no makeup, a little lipstick. Band-Aid or zit? And I thought people don't want to see a zit. They'd rather see a Band-Aid. And no makeup. Had a bad dream. Not bad, weird. And then Laura gets up and I go, and she says,
I'm like, hi, I've been ugly crying all morning.
and I go, okay, this is as real as it gets. We weren't going to do a show. Now, if you're listening to this, we also do it visually and it's on YouTube. And the links are all there. But the thing is, this is what people are now. And I think it's really important that we are authentic and real. And why not? Okay, so I have a Band-Aid because I didn't want you to see a bloody zit because it's disgusting. I feel like I'm not going to try and cover it, make it worse.
I mean, let's start with that. Let's start with that comment that people would rather see a Band-Aid than a zit. And I feel like, and hence is born the entire, not only the entire cosmetics and whatever industries, but like the way we have been acting as humans for the last however many millennia, right? It's just like nobody wants to see it.
My whole life, that's all I know. So I'm glad it's changing.
It is starting to change, and I think what's confusing about it is, of course, that if you go on Instagram, there's also a lot of stuff that's on there that's kind of designed to be drama fueled, and it's like, is it more
it's
authentic?
Not real?
Is it not? Right. So I think the question of what it looks like to live into being an authentic human is definitely something we're all feeling our way into.
Struggling with.
Yeah. What does it look like to show your zit, but not make a drama of it?
Exactly. And I just did because I brought it up.
From one drama queen to another. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Laura and I'm a drama queen.
Yes. I am not quite there at the queen. No, my family would disagree. They'd say you're a princess. So then Laura goes, I'm ugly crying. And I didn't see the ugliness. In fact, if anything, I thought, wow, Laura looks absolutely stunning. More stunning than you usually look, which is always stunning. So crying might be not a bad thing.
Let's talk about that. Because so I was in, and unless you've been under a rock, you know that I'm in recovery. And I was in my 12-step meeting this morning, which starts at 7 a.m. even on the weekends. And and so, you're not there unless you really want it, right? Clearly. And the room was full this morning. A lot of people I absolutely adore, including just a lot of like really like old white men, basically people who, they're not really, you don't expect them to be into crying or whatever. And I have been, over the last few months, I don't know exactly why, but, a new layer of stuff is falling off me. And I've been ugly crying in that meeting a lot. And this morning, after the meeting, one of those, old white dudes came over to me and was just like, I love you for doing that. You are one of the puzzle pieces I need. Thank you for showing up as you are. And he said something that really resonates with me, actually. He said, when I got to recovery, the men said what I needed to hear. And I think that's important because, of course, if you're a left-brained thinker, you do need to hear certain things, right? To give you permission, to give you an understanding of what the process of whatever the hell it is we're all undergoing is. And then he said, but the women are teaching me how to love myself.
Whoa. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. And that just really,
that would have
and
set
he
me
was
off
the one
crying.
that got me crying, actually. He was the guy who shared before him primed the pump, and then he turned on the spigot.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely would have. Oops. Sorry about
that.
What
just happened? Hello, everyone.
I just went close up on us. See, now you can really see the Band-Aid. Shall
Oh
I go
god.
back?
Oh god. Go back.
I don't even know how to
Too
go
much.
back.
Oh no. For those of you who
I'm like,
can't see the technology right now, Judy keeps pressing random buttons and the picture keeps changing.
I was
Okay, stop it.
okay. We're back. As I said, this is authentic as really get. You know, I have to laugh because sometimes, in fact, 90% of the time when I've had a cry fest, as you've had, I giggle afterward. It's like this uncontrollable giggling, and I don't know if it's because all these emotions are let out, and so I'm giggling for you at the cry fest.
Thank you. Thank you. One of my friends called Rainbow, she calls it orgasming through the eyes.
Oh, I love that.
Hmm. I mean, it feels good, doesn't
It
it?
it
And
totally does.
and there's a lot of us that do it behind closed doors, and that's just as healing. I think it's also worth saying that there's a difference between the way I used to cry before recovery, which included a lot of self-pity
Mhm.
and a lot of story about how I was alone and broken and that nobody would understand.
Wow, and then
And
now
that
it's
felt
what?
quite different. Now it's what is it? Now it's genuine grief coming up that needs to be felt, combined with a feeling of I'm not special. This is not a process that's just confined to me. In fact, one of the other men who drives this ginormous truck, and I don't know, he pours concrete or something for a living. As he was leaving the parking lot, he goes, "Keep crying, because right now the poison's coming out, but I promise you, in 15 years, you're only going to be crying tears of gratitude."
Wow. Sorry, that
Hmm.
just
Mhm. And I'm gonna share, I'm not gonna use any names because I wanna keep anonymity, but one of the people in that room today shared that they got a really scary piece of medical information about themselves and that all they could feel was gratitude. And he cried tears of gratitude. And I think there's so much crying that has to be done because we're a world that, like we started with, doesn't want to see it. And so when we come into this journey, whatever your journey looks like, however it's going for you, there is stuff that needs to come up. And it looks like the stuff that you've been telling yourself nobody wants to see. And some of it can be done behind closed doors and some of it can be done with other people. In my opinion, it's always easier when you're being held by someone else to a certain extent. And also it's different than the way we've been doing it before, and it feels qualitatively different, and it is qualitatively different because it's not re-entrenching ourselves in a story of how we are alone and broken. It is
it's not a victim story.
no,
Not a victim
no.
story.
Yeah. I mean, what does that look like for you at the moment, Judy? What is, as the poison comes out of you, what does it look like? What does it feel like?
It's starting to change a lot, and I think a lot of what has changed for me just in the and I don't know how to describe it in the I don't wanna say spiritual awakening, although that's what people use. Learning about myself maybe would be better, is that I'm starting to be able to be more the observer
Mm,
instead of living in that, and I never understood what that meant. I thought it meant you actually visually step back and look at yourself. No, not really. No. I mean, you can that's if it works for you that way. I'm a very visual person, but it's more of stepping away from yourself and looking at yourself as if you're your own mirror and going, "Whoa, whoa, hold on. Let's just back up. Why are you really crying? Why are you really upset? What is really, are you, is it?" And then you get to, and this is where I've gotten to lately, is this is all my fault. Whoa. And that's a step towards forgiveness of yourself. My shame is now not to anybody but myself. And that's where the crying is not coming from. It's the learning to now face that, and each thing is separate. Something new comes up and I'll go blame, blame, blame. And then I stop myself and go, whoa, hold on. Where was my part in this? Oh, 100%. It could have been different had I changed my
mm,
attitude, had I changed this. So that's where I'm at. I'm very much baby stepping towards the stopping of feeling the shame or feeling it and going, You know what? Don't stop feeling shame, but I now have owned it. I'm starting to learn to own these things and not blame this guy or my parents or whatever and go, I have 100% choice in this. This is me.
Mhm.
So this is a journey, and that's a little step of these journeys, that we take. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's really profound. And, I think we pulled some cards for you at the beginning of the year, and one of them that came out was justice. I remember that now. I don't remember the whole reading, but justice is the moment in the major arcana where we choose to take responsibility, and it's a crucial step for all of us. And it's counterintuitive because, like you said, it's actually liberating to recognize if this is something that I can't blame on anyone else. If I am the problem, then I am also the solution. Because if you're the problem, I have no control over that.
Mm-mm.
Um, and
I
I
can
think,
give you an example of something that happened yesterday, actually.
go do it.
This is a very cool example. Now I'm going to we don't usually do politics, but I will in this section because it's important to me that I explain what happened. I was doing something with the company that I work with, and it happened to be something I didn't want to do. And there were a lot of former President Donald Trump supporters. And I'm not going to say which. Well, this will it doesn't really matter what side I'm on. It was somebody who wore a very offensive T-shirt, and the offense to me was showed a picture of former President Donald Trump giving the birdie to. I could do it right now, just like that. And my first instinct was, I was horrified. I don't care what side you're on. It could be, Kamala doing the same thing. It was offensive. And if you're trying to get me to be on your side, why would you do that? And all I wanted to do was go home. I was pissed off. I drove home. And then all of a sudden I went, wait a second. He can wear whatever he wants. Why am I so offended by it? And then I sat with it and I went, how cool is it that this man was so passionate about somebody he supports? And I just felt love for him. That's what I meant. It was, and all of a sudden, I felt this just lifting of, wow, okay. It's the love. I sent my self-love and I forgave myself for being so angry. And again, it does this. You could be any person, but to give me two fingers was very offensive. That was my problem, not his.
I love that you had that experience. I had a very similar experience in about 15 years ago. I had written my first fourth step, which is the bit in the 12-step program where you write down your resentments. And one of my resentments was against the American government, and another was against, I don't know, right wingers or something. I can't remember now. And my sponsor, who I have literally no idea what his politics were, he was like, well, here's what you're going to do as an amends. You're going to book yourself a tour of the Statue of Liberty, and you're going to pray, and you're going to see what happens. And you're going to be willing to see your part, whatever your part is. And the Statue of Liberty, if you've been there a long time ago, it's a whole different scene now. It takes a lot to get in there. Mm-hmm. Since 9/11, and probably even more since, it's really hard to get in. You have to apply several weeks or months in advance. They have to check your passport. They have to check out who you are. When you get there on the day, they literally take everything away from you, and you're allowed to take your phone up there or your camera. That's it.
So you can at least take pictures.
You can take photos. And at every stage of this, like I'm in the airport security before I get on the ferry, and I'm like having a resentment with the fact that they're, making me go through airport security. And then I get on the ferry, and then I get off the ferry, and there's another airport style security, and I'm still having a resentment. And I'm like, all right, Laura, just let it go, let it go. And then you can, the pedestal of the statue is this like giant thing, and the stairs are really big. But then as you start to walk up the woman's body, the staircase gets really tiny, and you're just going up this tiny little spiral staircase, and they let one person up every 5 minutes or something. And so I'm completely alone. I'm in the middle of this like weird metal statue thing. And I just start to pray as I go up. And to me, it doesn't matter if I believe in God or not, whatever that is. Praying is just an act of humility. It's just saying there is something I don't understand, and I'm going to give my will to that thing.
It's why you bow your head. It's
Exactly. I'm going to be
humility.
willing to see something that I don't see and that my brain thinks is whatever. So I'm praying as I walk up the staircase, and I get to the top, and the guy who's at the top is like, okay, do you want a photo? And I was like, actually, I don't want a photo. And he was like, okay, that's weird, but all right. And I walk to the window and I look out, and I say another prayer. And then I realize what I'm looking at out there is land and people. That's it. This ideology thing, this thing that we call the United States of America, all of the governmental stuff, it's just a social construction. And the reality of it is it's land and people. And can I love that? And can I be grateful to the fact that you guys let me stay here? Like, I was resentful against the fact, I mean, you guys let me stay here. And as I walked back down, I go outside, and there are two guys in front of me with, what you might call right-wing t-shirts on. And I just found myself going, oh, I love your t-shirt. And again, it was like this, who said that?
Wow.
Who said that? And that was a personality change within me, a willingness to see that if I am offended by you, it's not your problem, it's my problem.
Yes, I just got chills. Whoa. I just got chills.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as authentic as real as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I mean, do I still get annoyed at people? Yes, I do. But I have a voice in my head now that's like, Laura, probably a mirror for something inside of you. Probably just showing you something you don't like. You know what I'm feeling? I'm feeling like, for some reason, I'm feeling a collective reading right now.
Ooh, I like this.
And it's about, I think, so help me with this. I think it might be about forgiveness. It might be about opening our hearts up to someone or something or some institution that we think has harmed us or is harming us.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. So this is going to be a collective reading. If this resonates with you, great. About forgiveness, I think. Like, what is it that maybe we need to own? What is it that others are reflecting back to us that is just really about us? I don't know. However this strikes you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, here is our first card. Oh, that makes no sense to me. All right, I'll pull another couple. Love it when the cards are like messing with me.
Well, it might make sense to somebody who is listening.
Right. Well, hopefully some sort of clarity will be revealed. Okay, here we go. We have 8 of coins, or 8 of pentacles, depending on what you prefer.
Okay.
10 of wands.
Okay.
And 3 of swords.
We got 3 different completely suits. 3 suits. Different numbers. What are the numbers again?
8, 10, and 3.
Oh, we got one spiritual number in there.
So the 8 of coins. In the 7s, we've been sitting in a place of uncertainty, and it makes us uncomfortable. Humans don't like uncertainty, and so we make up stuff, we make up stories, and we do in order to deal with that. And so a lot of the 8s are about all of the human ways that we humans try and avoid uncertainty. And the 8 of coins is one of those. We try and get, so in the traditional reading of this card, it's about becoming master of your craft. And I actually think, to me, that's the King of Coins. What the 8 of coins is about is the way that we try and run away from uncertainty and our feelings, supposedly by becoming a master, and you may become a master in whatever, but it's actually about overworking, overdoing, in order to just get away from the fact that you don't like your moment-to-moment experience. So we're talking about forgiveness. We're talking about the things that block us from that forgiveness. We're talking about the ways that we kind of need to see ourselves. And one of the ways that we often, I think we all to a certain extent, run away from that is in like, let me just do something. And maybe you're somebody who's really perfectionistic, you're trying to get really good at something, and maybe you're somebody who is so perfectionistic that you can't even allow yourself to try and get good at something because you stop before you even begin.
That's fear-based.
And so, I'm still okay. I'm going to keep going because I'm still not exactly sure why that's part of this reading. So
maybe
then
the other cards will come in and make sense.
That's often how it works. So here we've got the 10 of Wands, and the 10 of Wands feels less confusing to me because the 10 is really a low point where we are feeling so burdened by our lives, so burdened. And we're burdened by all of the feelings that we've never felt. We're burdened by the things that we have put in our life, probably because we thought it would make us feel better. So maybe you're feeling burdened by various responsibilities that you have, whether it's the job or the kids or the relationship or global warming.
I feel a resentment with that card.
Yes. And the you are essentially carrying the burden, not just of your own, but of other people's. It can be a collective burden. It can be an ancestral one. And yes, there is definitely a lot of resentment that comes with it.
Interesting.
A feeling of poor me. I think a lot of the time when people are faced with so-called spiritual stuff, they're like, well, that's nice for you, but I have to live in the real world and I have real responsibilities and I can't stop because somebody, the world isn't rainbows and unicorns, essentially.
Oh my gosh, do I hear that a lot. I hear that. You're not living in the real world. Well, actually, yeah. It's the real world is whatever you make it. But I think that is a great collective card.
Well, when we're living in this feeling of all of the burdens that that we've decided are ours, it does feel like the world is just heavy and full of suffering, and there's nothing other than the suffering. And so if somebody comes at you with, the good news or, whatever, you're just like, get away from me with your woo-woo ass rubbish. And so is this something that we purposefully do to ourselves? Absolutely not. This is the human condition. Nobody needs to go into guilt and shame. And also, there have been times in my recovery when I pulled this card over and over and over again. And it's a reminder, Laura, the thing that you think is your burden, you have chosen to carry. Drop the rock.
Drop the rock. Again, I'll say it. The opposite of live is evil. Which one do you want?
Right.
And
then third card, 3 of Swords. So again, in the traditional reading, this is often about betrayal and heartbreak. And I think it's a tiny bit more subtle than that, which is if we are stuck in our own thinking, which is what the swords are. Swords are a mental place, beliefs, thoughts, communication. If we are split off from our hearts and we get stuck in our heads, which is where the misery is created, and we make up stories about, again, it could be, I have to live in the real world. It could be nobody likes me. It could be whatever your version of that story is. It could be, let's face it, a lot of resentment about how that person is harming me. Let's get back to the question we asked originally. It could be, I can't forgive you because, or I can't be at peace in this moment because you did X to me, or you are doing X to me. So whatever the story is, the 3 of Swords is here to remind us that that is where the wound lies, and that the wound is every time we stick those beliefs through our heart, we are one step further away from our own joy, peace, and serenity, and one step closer to suffering. And again, it's kind of a reminder. Again, I'm still not exactly sure why this 8 is here, but these two seem very clear to me, which is we are essentially creating our own burden and our own suffering. And again, it's not through any fault of our own. It's because we're human. And so we can just accept we're like everybody else. And but do we want to continue to live this way?
I find it fascinating too, and I do believe that there are, as Nikola Tesla said, the 3 spiritual numbers 369. So in the 3, I feel like there is a little bit of a spiritual, um, the spiritual all that is still there supporting. Hey, we're still here. We're still there supporting you. So as tough as that card can be, the 3
Mhm.
for me makes it that we're still supported in that. And it's almost a push of support. Come on, you could get through this. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
It makes total sense to me, and I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about in owning that we are the makers of our own experience. It can be read by some people as a sort of self-flagellation and the opposite of self-love, but in that recognition there is freedom and there is self-love, because the more I run away from the fact that my experience is based on a set of beliefs and burdens and energetic blockages that are in me that only I have the power to undo, there is freedom. There is genuine freedom. And it's the paradox that anyone who's ever worked a 12-step program faces. It's the paradox that anyone who has ever been faced with, can I forgive this person because you did that thing to me 5, 10, 15, 50 years ago, but you did that thing 50 years ago and I've been using it to make myself suffer for the last 50 years.
Mhm.
Who is really making me suffer today, you or me? And
Mm.
that's a tough pill to swallow.
Mhm. It is.
It,
It is. I think that's a great way to end this episode.
I
I
think
think
so too.
and I think about that, those cards, maybe somewhere that 8, you'll have an answer for us. That's what this is
Yeah,
about.
I would love some insight on this one, because I don't know if it's because I've been ugly crying all morning or just because someone else is meant to say it, but I don't quite know why that card is here. So if you have thoughts on that, post
Please
below,
share.
please.
Yeah, we
Let us
and
know.
yeah,
Enlighten
and
us.
is exactly enlighten us. We're all on this journey together. And again, I think you look absolutely stunning after you've cried, just so you know. And you're supposed to say back, you look stunning
I'm
with a
supposed to say,
band-aid.
sorry, and the band-aid is like, if
Thank
I
you.
were you, you should have taken the band-aid off, in my
Oh,
opinion.
no, it was scary. It was like, I slept and I had put a band-aid. I guess I tore it off in the night and it was all bloody and I'm getting a little graphic here. And no, I don't need to give you a script. I was just teasing. That's my sense of humor, odd as it is. Again, make sure
I
you
love you.
subscribe to What a Shift Show. And thank you so much, Laura, for being so open and honest.
You too. Thanks, folks. Keep coming back.